Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Thank you for tuning to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football. From the latest Nice Dishes, breakout stars, and all of the news in between. As always, I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Alex. And we got a really fun show ahead of
we got a couple of new segments. Yeah,
to say the least. We're going to start with some updated Heisman Watch news. And then we're going to get into a new segment called For Real?
For real?
Where we talk about players and teams that had a very impressive week, but can they keep it going? Can it stay consistent? Are they for real? And we're going to end the episode off, and the episode off with another one of our new segments, and that is called Wide Left Wednesday.
Left Wednesday.
Exactly, yeah. Mondays we reserve for reviewing the games and previewing the night's games. Tuesday is heavy on kind of the whole weekend in general and the recap of those Monday night games, as in this Monday in game as we go further. Wednesdays will just be the wacky stuff that we missed throughout the week that we wanted to talk about. So we called it Wide Left Wednesday. It's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, so we're trying to get you guys through the hump this week with some fun news. But
pretty excited.
Before we get to those two new segments, we are going to talk about some college football.
Yeah, we have Heisman Watch in full swing. And do you know who's the number one person on this list, Jeremiah?
Yes, I do. It was a guy I had as a dark horse candidate.
You did. You said that when we did our preview shows for the conferences. Well, that is Louisville sophomore Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Currently in the lead of most players in the Heisman Watch right now.
He was 1 yard shy away in his last game from being the first player to have 400 passing yards and 200 rushing yards in a single game. And he finished that game with 199 rushing yards. He was 1 yard away. Why did you just leave him in the game for that 1 yard and take him out?
It's just always how it shapes up, man. The 6'3", 205-pound sophomore quarterback out of Louisville currently is on fire. 697 yards through the air, 7 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Not to mention a total of 318 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns. The man's responsible for 13 touchdowns and only 1 turnover, while accounting for over 1,000 yards of personal offense in 2 games.
Yeah, and he, the most explosive quarterback I have seen in college football
this year.
Oh, this year
for sure.
Since Michael Vick, also.
Really?
Yeah.
Now he did play. They played Charlotte, whom they beat 70-14. He played Syracuse, whom they beat 62-28. So you can look at level of competition. You know what I mean? You can look at it like, oh, are they really playing that big of a team? In terms of tough competition. Well, you got FSU this weekend.
Yeah,
so that's really your first challenge.
The best defense he will face pretty much up to this point, because he has Houston later on during the year. Man, I feel like we should have put Lamar Jackson in the For Real segment.
We could, but now we said it, so we can't.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think of it till now, but yeah, and I just love the way that Lamar Jackson has played this year. But this is my game of the week in college football. I think it's the first top 10 matchup all year, for that matter. So I'm really interested to see how this Florida State defense is going to play with Lamar Jackson. I'm really interested to see how Lamar Jackson is going to play with this Florida State defense. So this is probably my ultimate matchup of the weekend.
Before we move on to the next candidate, I just want to say that Lamar Jackson, he ranks first in the nation in yards per attempt, 20-yard plays, and touchdowns responsible. Keep in mind, like I said, 2 games, right? He only played 2 quarters in that first game.
Yeah.
So he's responsible for 13 touchdowns in roughly 6 quarters in 2 games. Man is on fire. His total yards, I said just a little bit over 1,000. It's 1,015.
He's Denzel Washington, dude. He's a man on fire.
He's a man on fire. All right, let's move on to the next candidate, and that is somebody who's no surprise to most college football fans, and that is Stanford running back Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, he was my favorite to win the award, back a couple months ago in our Heisman preview show.
Mm-hmm.
And, he is picking up where he left off. He is still the best all-around college football player in the game. He hasn't slowed down.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a slower start to the year, I suppose. 22 attempts, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that is through 2 games. But I'm sorry, that's through. That
was through 1 game.
One game. Sorry,
they only play 1 game.
Yeah, they didn't play their second game. Yeah, they play USC next. But sorry, Kansas State through their first game. So that's a good game for 1 game. 126, 2 touchdowns. He's going to be in that conversation until someone says otherwise. That he finished second last year, right? And he's going to be up there in the conversation for a while, you could say. So, obviously, McCaffrey's going to keep doing what he does, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, especially against USC.
Exactly. That's a big rivalry for that team and that school. So, somebody's going to have a big game, and obviously, most people would think it's going to be him. Let's move to another running back, and that is junior Georgia Bulldogs running back Nick Chubb.
Yeah, he had a really great game week 1. 222 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Less than a year after his horrific knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. And he kind of struggled last week, though, against a FCS opponent, which they played really good, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from Nicholas State. They play a heck of a ball game against Georgia, who were the 9th ranked team in the country at the time. But yeah, Chubb struggled in that game. I feel like they just kept him in check the whole time. He was just reduced to like 80 yards.
Yeah, 80 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown, which is good in a weird sense. But
it's good, but it's not college football good. In NFL, that is good.
It's not Heisman candidate.
But it's not Heisman candidate good.
Yeah. He added 12 yards on a reception, so don't forget that. All right, next would be quarterback J.T. Barrett of Ohio State, somebody who's been in the conversation multiple times throughout his time there at the Ohio State University. Now a junior quarterback there. He's responsible for 498 yards passing and only 6 touchdowns to start the year. Only, I say, because, hey, 13 touchdowns. Come on. But yeah, J.T. Barrett has had another solid start to the year. Including last week was a little off for him. Week 1 they won 77-10. He had 349 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. He didn't throw a touchdown last week. 149 yards responsible for passing wise. 55 yards on the ground. He ran for 2, but
they still won
48-3.
48-3. So
yeah, he's still responsible for 14 points in that game. Still played well. He has a total of, like I said, he's got 85 yards on the ground so far through the season. So, if you look at it in that sense, he's still, it's J.T. Barrett,
Yeah, probably.
You know what to expect from him, so you're kind of more so waiting for it.
Yeah, the second best dual threat quarterback in the game.
Well, now we move on to somebody who could be a new dual threat quarterback.
Remember, this is also one of my dark horse candidates.
Yeah, and as actually a matter of fact, from J.T. Barrett on, the next 3 I have to talk about are all dual threat quarterbacks.
Okay.
So let's talk about one of your favorites, and that's Greg Ward Jr.
Yes, Greg Ward Jr. He didn't play last week because he was out due to a shoulder injury. But Houston still rolled on Lamar.
Yeah, he was responsible for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns in the opener.
Yeah, and he's coming back this week too, which is a very big game. Very big game for them. And
tomorrow actually.
Yeah, against Cincinnati. Cincinnati and the Krugers didn't even need him. That's how good this team was. Well, they played an FCS.
They still won 42-0.
They did play an FCS opponent.
Yeah.
But Greg Ward is very, very important to this team, especially against when they start to face tougher competition.
Yeah, like we saw them play with a big upset week 1 against Oklahoma, who was ranked 3rd at the time, and now they are purely just dropped off that list. But 23 out of 40, 321, like I said, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. Had a ratio of 141.4. A raw QBR of 70.9. The dude was on fire.
Yeah. He's Denzel Washington, man on fire.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to one of the ones who could be a kind of a dark horse throughout the rest of the year, depending on how this school does, and that's DeAndre Francois,
who is also going to get a tough test this weekend against Louisville. So it's going to be Francois did really well in this first game with the Seminoles against Ole Miss.
Yeah, he had 419 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He had 59 yards on the ground. He looked very poised for a freshman starting for a big program against
the number two team in the country right now.
Currently, yeah. They were 5 or 6 during that game. But yeah, he played lights out that game. He struggled at first, but he really found his stride there late in the game. Didn't play as great the next week against Charleston Southern, 262 yards passing, but he did have 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. No, not really any running yards, but they won the game 52-8. As long as you guys are winning big, the analysts will look at your stats and say, well, they're still winning,
Yeah.
And then last but not least, in terms of real notable players, we'll mention Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he struggled last week against Troy.
Yeah,
opponent that he should have torched completely.
Yeah. He was 248 yards passing and 1 touchdown, 1 interception week 1 at Auburn with only 21 yards on the ground. Not a typical. People were like, "Oh, that's not a typical Deshaun Watson game." They only won 19-13. Well, they'll be fine playing Troy next week. Well, 30-24, they just escaped with that win, 6 points. He was 27 for 53, a lot of incomplete passes there. 292 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions, 2 more interceptions. He had a little bit more rushing yards, 55 on 10 attempts, but again, no touchdowns on the ground at all. This is a weird start to the season for Watson. He's only 540 yards total with 4 touchdowns, but already 3 interceptions.
Yeah, already in 2 games against 2 opponents that they should have beat handily. That's nothing against Troy or Auburn. It's just that Clemson's one of the most, on paper.
They were number 2 in the nation.
They're number 2 in the nation, and they were one of the top 2 teams in the nation. And on paper, they're just really deep. They have a deep roster. So I had Deshaun Watson as the top dual threat quarterback and the top quarterback in the country, which I still think still applies. It's still early in the season. It's too early to overreact, but I do think Clemson's going to be fine, and I do think they still have a shot to make the playoffs. But honestly, though, from here on out, they have to start steamrolling and people, and they have a very important matchup this weekend too. So,
yeah, Clemson they will be on at home, against South Carolina State.
Yeah,
they are currently ranked number 5, so they got some work to do.
Yeah.
But that is it for real notable players when it comes to the Heisman Countdown. Of course, we will try to update you guys on this as much as we can through the weeks of college football. So if you're interested, we'll always be here to do so. So let's take our first break. We'll come back, and we're going to do our very first news segment of the day, as we have 2 called
For Real.
Yeah, you're almost too quick on that, but I caught you. You're good. All right, so we'll be right back to do some of that For Real here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and now we are going to start our new segment, For Real.
Or For Real.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, is it for real or for real? So what we're going to do in this segment is pretty much we're going to look at players or teams that had a good, surprising week or weeks. If we miss them, somebody has maybe put together this week and next week, and we didn't mention them today. We're like, oh, well, are they for real? So today we are going to mention 2 players and 1 team.
Yes.
We're going to start with rookie quarterback Carson Wentz of the Eagles. He was 22 for 37, 278 yards, passing in 2 touchdowns with no turnovers, and he added 1 yard on 2 carries. Is he for real? You know, he played against the Cleveland Browns team that is probably not for real.
No, they are not.
Yeah, the question is Carson Wentz for real? I mean, the Eagles played against, again, a team that's not very good, but they play the Bears and then the Steelers in the next 2 weeks. Can Carson Wentz show us that he is for real?
I don't know. Can he? Can he show us for real?
That's the question.
And then plus, to top it all off, his top tight end is hurt this week. He's going to be out for a couple of games.
Zach Ertz?
Zach Ertz.
That's a shame.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
But he still got a good playmaker in Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, he found him a lot last week.
And Nelson Aguilar has come
He
to
played
life
well.
because of Carson Wentz. All right, so that's the thing that I like to.
And don't forget, he still got Brent Selleck.
He still got Brent Selleck.
He's
too.
no scrub.
People forget about Brent Selleck.
Mm-hmm.
I just did.
Yes, you did. And now he's got Dorial Green Beckham, a jump ball specialist, if he can come down with it.
I would love to see him repeat this performance this Sunday because he played the Browns, a team. Let's face it, they're probably the worst team in the league now. They're probably the worst team in the league. Okay. I originally had the Niners as the worst team in the league, but they're probably the third to last team.
It's probably the Niners, the Rams, the Browns.
No, it's the Browns, the worst. The Rams, and then the Niners.
That's what I said. I just said it differently.
I know, but
I meant it the same way, though.
I didn't like that order, okay?
Well, I meant it the same way.
But yeah, man, is he for real, though? Is he for real?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, he played well his first game. Again, it was against defense not that good. He's going to have a test this week against the Bears, who are a better team than the Browns. That is no debate there.
But, they do have a pretty weak defense.
Mm-hmm. It hasn't been what it has been in past years.
So he should have a pretty good game. Should have a pretty good game.
Yeah, and every week when we do these, the next installment of is for real, we'll tell you if the next, the following week, as in next Wednesday, was Carson Wentz for real? Yeah, at least did he continue? Did he give us enough to think maybe he still is for real?
Yeah, and then we probably will have him on the segment next week because week 3 he's playing against your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
Even though they don't have a good defense, they're still a Pittsburgh Steelers,
and it's a better defense too.
It's a better defense.
Opportunistic defense is what I like to call them.
Yeah, but I like Carson Wentz's schedule here. To top it off, he has the Bears. The Steelers are a tough opponent. Mm-hmm. They're a better defense, but also they still allow
historically they allow more yards than they have
in a while. And then they got the Lions who allow 35 points to the Indianapolis Colts, who have Andrew Luck, but Carson Wentz could potentially. I'm not saying Carson Wentz is going to score like 40 on the Lions, but he could potentially, score some points on that defense.
Yeah.
And then he has the Washington Redskins, who
didn't look good on Monday.
They didn't look good on defense. On paper, they should be better by that time.
Mm-hmm.
They should be better on paper. They look good now. But I think that ultimate test will be on October 23rd when he faces the Minnesota Vikings. That's a tough defense. It's a tough defense.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to be a tough defense for him this year, And we'll move on here to our next quarterback. But before I say that, you know what one thing is for real?
What?
Carson Wentz jersey was a top seller across the NFL since Sunday.
I did see that, yes.
All right, let's move on to somebody who you have been talking about for weeks leading up to the NFL season. And do you know who that is, everybody? I'll tell you. It's Jimmy Garoppolo.
A.K.A. Jimmy G, boy.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, 264 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Not an amazing performance by any stretch of the imagination. 4 rushes for 12 yards. A brisk average of, what is that, Jeremiah? 4, 8, 12. That's 3 yards. He played well. He didn't make mistakes against a good defense that you expected him to probably maybe make a mistake or two. But that game was a wacky game. I don't know if you can really sit there and say they won that game flat out, right? Is he, for these next 3 games, for real?
I think it's for real because of the team he's on.
Okay.
The fact that he's around a winning tradition, he is for real.
Yeah, just flat out, right, just like that.
Because of the team he's on, he doesn't have. He doesn't have to do a whole lot. He doesn't have to win games. It kind of reminds me a little bit when Tom Brady first came into the league, he didn't light it up. He didn't light up any defense at all in his first couple of years, even though he won the Super Bowl the first year he started.
It's those defenses.
It was that defense. And remember, Tom Brady he didn't throw for a lot of yards in that Super Bowl win, even though he did lead the team to a field goal by Adam Vinatieri, who is still in the league.
Playing for the Colts.
It makes me feel old to say that.
No, it makes him feel old. Okay.
Makes me feel old too. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not gonna say that Jimmy G's the best quarterback on the Patriots roster, because he's not. All right, they still
that lands with Jacoby Brissett.
Because he's not. Okay, they still have Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think if Tom Brady, whenever he decides to walk away, if the Patriots happen to get Jimmy Garoppolo a new contract or extend his contract, they'll be fine for the future. As long as Bill Belichick is there, this team's fine.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, they have the Dolphins, Texans, Bills, so 2 division opponents and a tough Texans team. We will for sure have an idea if Jimmy G is for real.
Yeah, we will.
All right, last but not least, we're moving to a team, and that is the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders played the Saints this weekend. They won 35-34 in one of the many close games that existed in the first week of the NFL season. They played bad and good. Their offense looked great at times. It looked decent at times. Their defense had a very good start and then obviously went on to give up 34 points and 40 yards passing to Drew Brees. The question is, are they for real?
I think it's too early to say that they're for real. Their defense was a little shaky. They allowed over 500 yards of offense. You're not going to win many games in this league and now allowing 500 yards. They're lucky that they have a pretty explosive offense because they probably would have got torched completely. They probably would have lost this game 42-3. I don't know. But I think the offense is for real.
Okay.
I know I'm so high on Derek Carr and all that, but if you see the way that he has improved from his rookie year to now, it is completely amazing how he has improved. And he looks like he was meant to play football and quarterback. He's just the way he approaches the game.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's a good example.
Yeah.
And I mean, people look at the Saints team as not a team that is very good, but they put up a lot of points. I mean, so it's crazy close, how close all these stats are. 507 yards to 486 in favor of the Saints. 25-27 first downs in favor of the Saints. 14-16 passing first downs in favor of the Saints. 8-7 rushing first downs in favor of the Raiders. 3-4 first downs on penalties in favor of the Saints. Both of them were 4-11 on third down. The Raiders were 0 for 0 on fourth, but the Saints were 1-1. Of course, the 2-point conversions are what matter most. Total plays 64-65 in favor of the Saints. 11 total drives for both teams. A yards per play of 7.6 to 7.8 in favor of the Saints. How crazy. 24 for 38 for Mr. Carr. 28 for 42 for Drew Brees.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Everything.
Insanely close. The Raiders beat them on rushing, but they had just 4 more rushing attempts. 3 for 4 in the red zone, 3 for 5 in the red zone for the Saints. And the big thing was those 2-point conversions. But get this, last but not least, the possession. 30 minutes and 25 seconds, Oakland. 29 minutes and 35 seconds, New Orleans. They played almost identical football, and the Raiders aren't exactly going into Super Bowl contenders in the next few weeks. They face the Falcons, who are very similar to both them and the Saints. In terms of the way they can put up points, but aren't the greatest when it comes to the defense side of the ball. They face the Titans week 3, who, they're definitely a team that's still trying to build. I think the Raiders can definitely get a win there. And then they face the Ravens week 4. I think it's week 4. I was making sure they didn't have a bye in between. This team could very well go 4-0 if they wanted to.
They can, and I wouldn't disagree with that because of the teams they're playing. And like I said earlier, the Raiders could compete for an AFC West division title. I don't think they're going to win it because of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win. I do think the defense is going to get better as the year goes on, but you can't win. If you're going to allow like 500 yards every game, you can't win many games in this league.
Unless you have an offense like the Steelers.
Exactly. So,
because, I saw that.
And the Raiders don't have an offense like the Steelers.
Not many people do.
No. It is, no.
But I know what you mean. I know what you mean for sure.
Something I do want to point out, though, is I didn't get the chance to talk about this on Monday, but there was a tweet that ESPN Stats and Info posted. It said, based on ESPN's win probability model,
which is very in depth.
It really is in depth.
It does analytics and all that.
Raiders had a 51% to win if they kicked a PAT,
the chance,
and a 44% chance if they went for 2. And then Jack Del Rio just said, "Good thing ESPN doesn't coach the Raiders."
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
I thought that was pretty clever. Those things you can't look into them that much because you can't play football that way. But I thought that's pretty funny.
I think honestly, we're gonna find out more about this team about week 5 or week 6. Week 6, October 16th, when they play the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna find out a lot about this team playing a really good defense. And don't get me wrong, the Ravens defense looks improved too.
Yes, it does. I think they will be a good matchup for him for sure. In my opinion, at least, I think they will be a good matchup.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking forward to the Raiders and Falcons game. This should be another fun game to watch.
The Raiders games almost sound fun now.
They do. They're a fun team to watch now. Not a fun team on defense, but they're a fun team on offense.
Yeah, but you can say that about a lot of teams. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can say that about your team.
Yeah,
not fun to watch on offense or defense.
They're not fun to watch at all. No.
All right, well, hey, let's take our last break. We'll come back and we will do our Wide Left Wednesday segment. Each of us have one thing to say that we thought was a little wacky in the week of football this past weekend. And we're going to do that right now. So we'll take our second break, come back, and we will do Wacky Wide Left Wednesday. Be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and we got one final segment for you guys. It's Wacky Why Left Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's our first time doing this. We thought of it together last week. Jeremiah's got all the credit. Oh, wait. Did I do this one? I forget. We each think of them. I forget.
I think this was a combo.
Yeah, I think we both did this.
You were the one that made up. For real?
I did that before today's show.
And then mine is the final drive, which we'll probably do tomorrow.
And we'll preview tomorrow's.
That was a more serious combination of news than today. This is probably the fun show.
All right. Well, hey, do you want to start? Or you want me to start?
I want you to start.
Okay. So, for those who watched football this weekend, if you're a fan of the Cowboys or if you're a fan of football in general, who did the Cowboys play this week?
This week?
They
played the New York Giants.
Thank you. They played. I knew that. They played the Giants. So if you're a fan of either of those teams, or you just happen to catch one of the last games of the Sunday afternoon slate, you saw how the Cowboys lost. And that is Terrence Williams receiving a pass while the clock is running down. No time outs left. It was 3rd and 10 from the Dallas 46. No timeouts left in 12 seconds, as a matter of fact. If you want, here, you ready for some really in-depth?
Sure. I love some depth.
Williams caught a pass in the right flat instead of sprinting out of bounds at around the New York 47. He turned upfield and gained 5 more yards. But the dude had 12 seconds left on the clock, and time expired before they could line up and clock it. He was quoted as saying, I don't know. Excuse me, he didn't do that voice clearing thing. He said, I don't know. I was just doing my best to put the team in a position to kick a field goal, a solemn Williams said after the game. Obviously, I should have just followed the rules and got out of bounds. I wouldn't say rules, but he should have been smart and got out of bounds.
I know, and even Des Bryant was pointing him.
Yeah, he's pointing towards the sideline. Like, get out of bounds, man. He was quoted as well as saying the whole purpose of me cutting it in was to go right back to the sideline to pick up more yardage. Breaking the huddle, it was already 3rd and 13. In my mind, I was just trying to make the first down and dive out of bounds. It just didn't go as planned. I was clearly aware at the time it was something I was just thinking of, and it was a bang-bang moment. Now that I have time to sit back and think about it, I should have just went out of bounds.
And Williams actually told the Star-Telegram, in my mind, I was trying to make the first guy miss and then dive out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, you should have just got out of bounds, man. You can't.
I understand wanting to get more yardage.
I understand that, though, but dude, look at you have a really good kicker that can kick it
from 800 yards away. Like, the dude's good.
We probably have one of the best kickers in the game. Probably, arguably, the best.
At least he's consistent.
Yeah,
he's consistent. He's accurate. He's on fire. Yeah.
Like Denzel Washington's a man on fire.
Yeah, man. This is gonna be something. I mean, it wasn't on Come On Man this week. I was so surprised.
There wasn't. I didn't get.
It wasn't on there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch the Come On Man segment.
No, it was a weak segment, man. Compared to some other way, yeah, it was a weak start.
Oh,
it was a
really?
week. It was a week one.
That is so disappointing to hear.
Yeah, like there was some funny stuff, but like I don't know how they didn't have this play on there. I mean,
honestly,
come on, man.
I think on.
Are they for real?
No, you know what I would love?
What?
I would love to see the Kevin Harlan call on Come On Man, which is something I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. In case you guys have
talked about it yesterday, right?
We did. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but I want to talk about it again because this is probably one of the greatest calls, my favorite calls, that is, I ever heard in football.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite.
So, in case you guys been sleeping under a rock there, or that didn't get a chance to watch that snooze fest of this Los Angeles Rams and San Francisco 49ers game, there was one good thing that come out of the game, and that is the ultimate call by Kevin Harlan, who had one interesting call that had nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, none at all.
Nothing to do with the game. Okay, so there's less than 12 minutes to go, right, in the game.
11:50.
Yeah,
I remember from the call.
And you know how I remember that? Because there was 11:31 at the end of the play. Because Court Warren was like, I'm ready for the last 11:31 to go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a fan that ran on the field, and he apparently, I'm not sure if he was drunk, but that is allegedly.
That's what you would assume,
That's
too.
what you assume. That's what allegedly he was.
He was running like a man possessed, I'll tell you what.
He got more yards than the Rams offense.
Oh.
More than Todd Gurley.
Dang,
I need him on my fantasy team. I'm
kidding.
The fan just straight darted on the field and began like a mad sprint across the turf at Levi Stadium. So the ESPN telecast, of course, they didn't show it. Briefly, you saw the fan on. And I remember I was watching this game at Twin Peaks, and when the fan ran on the field, everyone was like, oh, yeah, because apparently that's the most exciting thing that happened all night.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. The most exciting thing that happened all night.
Getting back to the call here.
Yeah.
The way that he called this, Kevin Harlan called this like it was a game-winning play. Mm-hmm. Game-winning play. And he says, some goofball in the red shirt. Well, I'm like, okay. And then now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle. At the 50, he's at the 30. So it's like he's calling it like it's the game.
Yeah, he's calling it like it's a game.
He's calling it like it's the game-winning play in the Super Bowl there. Because the way that he called it, it makes you want to listen to what he's saying, which is unbelievable. It is unbelievable call.
Yeah, his voice is great.
Yeah.
Now, did you see it before I had sent it to you or after I sent it to you?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't see it. I did see it when you sent it to me. Mm-hmm. Because I got home from watching the game and then I didn't know about it, but until you sent it to me. Mm-hmm. And I watched it like 500 times.
Yeah, I watched it a few times. I'll tell you what I watched.
My favorite part of if you guys haven't listened to it by now, then I don't know. You guys need to hurry up and listen to it. But my favorite part is that he runs at the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
I'm like, how do you know the guy is drunk?
It's just an assumption, I suppose.
Like, how do you know that? I don't know, but I'm telling you right now, usually, announcers don't really pay attention to, like, the streakers or anything on the field.
Yeah, besides calling him dumb maybe or something.
But Kevin Harlan was like, this game is awful, so screw this. I'm going to turn my attention somewhere else and make this game interesting by some way. You know what, though?
He did.
You know what, though? He did, because we're actually talking about the worst game of the year so far. And the fan that decided to run the field, he got his 5 minutes of fame.
Maybe longer, because we're still talking.
We're talking about him.
And he has his phone number on his chest. I mean, we can call him.
Yeah, he has a 925 area code, which is, I think, is from the East Bay.
Yeah.
And,
around Alameda.
I think I read he was from Brentwood, too, in the Bay Area. I think that's where
Isn't Brentwood in L.A.?
No, Brentwood's in the Bay Area.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Yep.
That is an interesting thing. I love it. I'm laughing harder than I've laughed all day.
You know what I liked about it is that Kurt Warner got.
Yeah, he was with them.
He went with it. He's like, oh, they got the blue coats coming out. The blue coats, they tackle him.
I kind of wish he would have let Harlan finish it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Harlan
did like not said anything.
Oh.
No offense to Kurt. I mean, he added some humor to it as well. Nothing bad, but.
And I love the call at the end. Kevin Harlan was like, I hope it was worth it because you got Night at the Clink coming up.
Man, Harlan, he did us a service.
I'll tell you right now,
Monday.
man.
That has to go down as a call of the year already.
That is a call of the year. It might be a call.
Get the ESPY.
It might be a call of a while. A call of the lifetime. I'm kidding, but
maybe
it's gonna be a memorable call for a while that we'll probably look back to from like 5 to 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know, I will.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, that's all for us today.
Yeah, it's a very good show, man. Very good show.
We'll be back tomorrow to preview the Thursday night game.
The Thursday night football game.
Yes.
But NFL is not the only game on, people. We got a college football game to be
yes, sir.
Yes.
We'll be talking Houston
versus the Cincinnati Bearcats on the road. There you go.
And, of course, the Bills and the Jets.
Yes.
In the first Color Rush game of the year.
And the Rex Ryan Bowl.
Yes.
The Rex Ryan Bowl. Very important.
He's just going to be sitting on the 50-yard line eating a bowl of ice cream. No, of course not. Oh, man.
Hey,
okay.
I would love to see Kevin Hart call that.
He is drunk.
The guy is drunk.
He said, well.
But there he goes.
Let's tell these folks where you can find us so we can get out of here for the day. You got a baseball show to record.
Yeah, I got a baseball show. I got 2, actually. Okay, so you guys can find us on a variety of platforms. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the same handle, at GSMC_football. And you can like us on Facebook at the Go to Media Concepts Football Podcast. And don't forget, guys, go on our website, GSMCpodcast.com. You can find this show and our other shows. Our other beautiful shows.
Yeah, Jeremiah's baseball show and my soccer show and my sports show.
Pretty soon, I'm going to do the fantasy football podcast.
Yeah, I mentioned that on my sports show today.
Yeah, pretty soon I am. I don't know when I'm going to start it.
Yesterday, maybe.
But I don't know when I'm going to start it, but I will let you guys know when that will happen because we're already heading to week 2 in fantasy football play.
I won both of my leagues. And the other one is you play 2 people on the league average, and I only won one of those. A little bit of an off week, but my Yahoo leagues I'm undefeated.
1-0.
Yep.
All right.
I killed my opponents too by like 40 plus in each of the leagues.
Yeah, I'm 1-0 too, man.
It's my Antonio Brown, D'Angelo Williams matchup that really put me over the hump. You know.
You were so lucky you have both of those guys. I couldn't get one.
Yeah, well, I drafted smart.
Yeah. All right.
And I got Le'Veon Bell in the other one too for when he comes back.
Yeah. All right, well.
Let's go get some pizza.
Let's go, guys.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your day, and tune in at the same time, same place, same face. See you tomorrow, guys.